Hey guys, this is Those Guys with their host Matt Marrero along with the other host.
Tristan Walter.
And what are we doing today, Tristan Walter, for this and a Saturday?
Attack on Titan, the second half of season 1.
Right.
So for us, that was 13 to 25.
Yes. Now people thought we were crazy, Tristan. People thought, guys, just separately, they're like, you have to get in on this Attack on Titan stuff. And I know you saw it before me, but still, people were like, you got to get on the hype train for Attack on Titan. And I waited years until seeing Attack on Titan. And guess what? Did I start watching after the hype? Yes. However, now season 2 is out, and we can easily transition into podcasting on that.
That is true.
So who's the crazy one here? In every other way, me. But in this regard, not me. In this situation, it's not me. How dare you? I will have you court-martialed.
Well, that's if I decide to transform first or not.
Okay, that's a terrifying thought.
It is. Be afraid.
I feel like you wouldn't even have like a Titan scream. It would just be like a soft sadness. Like
Well, that takes away from me being terrifying.
No, it adds on to it because people would hear it just very low. They'd be like, "What's that humming?" Oh, good God! They would never see you coming.
You just hear the footsteps. Oh God, it would be like Godzilla, except without the roar. I just make the footsteps.
Basically. So, we're talking about 13 to 25 because we have talked about the first 12 before. This show just went off the rails. I thought that the last few, I think it was like 10, 11, 12, I thought they were getting weird. But this show just went... It went completely to, what the fuck do you think is happening, town?
Yeah.
Yep. Now here's... Yeah.
The one line from the captain of the Survey Corps is just kind of explains the whole thing. Who do you think is the real enemy here?
Basically. Now, here's the thing, though. Okay, so I'm very mixed about this show. Let me explain why. When this show gets good, it gets really good.
Right.
So when this show starts to really devote itself to both the action, and also the the reveals and the twists, I actually, and just the general, once it delves into the plot of the Titans, I think it is an amazing show that I obviously want more of, and so did the rest of the US, as I noticed.
Right.
But here's my problem with the show, though, and this is something that no one really, I've heard anyone talk about. I'm sure there's people that have talked about it, but I don't hear people talk about it much. In person, because I don't really watch that many reviews. It's frustrating to see that, to me anyway, there really aren't that many characters that are getting developed versus the amount that get thrown on screen at you every single episode. Now,
Yeah.
not everyone can... Here's the thing. Not everyone can be Eren, Mikasa, and Armin, thank you. Not everyone can be them, of course, right? And I totally get that. My issue, though, is that it's just... Well, certain characters, by the way, just completely fall off the map for a bit. Like,
Right.
the only reason why I guessed that Annie was the Titan isn't just because, yes, they look very similar, but also based on the fact that she, to me anyway, seemed like she disappeared for a bunch of episodes, maybe only showing up for a few seconds in one.
Right.
So and obviously it makes sense that she disappeared because they're not focusing on her plot, and also because she went off to the bougier, cushier job, which, by the way, makes so much sense. That's how she can... By the way, to me, the plot twist made sense in the idea that she went for the job that no one would really care if she didn't show up for work on time, or at all.
Right.
So she could just go off and be a Titan. That actually was very smart of her. and of the situation, like, the writer to put that in there. My only problem is that, again, I don't know if the manga was any different, but in terms of the anime, she was gone for so long that just her reappearing and having the just one line, hey, so, where have you been? You've been late every day. I'm like, oh, so she's the Titan. And that doesn't mean that I'm smart. It's just, it's something that, because they did get me on the trap. I did not see the trap coming at all.
Right.
So they got me there. But I don't know how you feel about it, Tristan, but I just feel like a lot of the characters, they were very lacking. And I love television as a medium. I push anime and also just other television in general as a medium over movies because of how you could really expand characters like these, where in a movie format, you'd be getting all these characters in an hour 25, maybe 2 hours.
Right.
So I push for TV a lot when it comes to trying to, build up these characters. But it's rough because it just didn't feel like there was, I don't know, it just felt like some of these characters just kind of fell off to the wayside, or some of them looked very, very similar, which I'm not trying to critique the art style. There's actually certain characters that I love their art style to death because they seem like, to me anyway, that they seem to be references to other older anime or manga works or manga artists. But it feels like there was that two characters, and I can't believe I've forgotten their names, but I can describe their character depth, because thankfully they actually were, there's some depth to them, but they look almost exactly the same. One of them is the I eat food all the time but never get heavy, although I will, kill for... I remember when she stole the meat and everyone was like, dude, and she's like, we're gonna carve it up. There's her, and then there's the other woman who...
Sure Sasha, the potato girl, I believe it's the fan nickname.
Yeah.
No, somebody in the background said that.
That's funny. That's funny, actually. So Potato Girl, i.e. Sasha, you're right, that is her name. And then there is the other woman who is talking about, funnily enough, also cutting and dicing, but about Titans more so.
Right.
And granted, if they're related, that actually would be funny because they, again, look very similar, and they also talk about dicing up things a lot. But as far as I know, as of right now, they're not related. So and also again, you're just introducing the two of them, and they got depth, sure, but it just feels like a lot of characters. Just do you agree, disagree? How do you feel about that? I feel like there's too many characters.
Well, I mean, I feel like a decent amount of the scouts, from the, I think they're the 104th. Yeah, recruities, a decent amount of them have gotten enough development, but obviously others have gotten more than, others that we haven't seen much of, obviously, but...
Yeah, well, because in the beginning... Tristan... Tristan, one thing. Just one small thing. In the beginning, you're talking about the 104th Squad. I think they got a lot of development in the beginning. I'm just saying so much that, after that... It's kind of wait, who are these guys again? Because then everyone else they introduce, who then sadly die horrible deaths very early.
Yeah.
Where it's just why don't you trust us, Eren? I'm like, well, I don't even know you, first off.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, that's Levi's squad, them too, but, I meant the recruities.
No, but I'm talking about the recruities earlier on, right? I'm talking about overall. They got good development early, but then dropped off, which was frustrating when you then see them later, and you're like, right, yes, you exist. But I'm also talking about characters overall. One's talking about Levi's squad because they're characters in the show too. When you then introduce them, I think it's too many, and also, again, they die so quickly, which I'm not saying they shouldn't have died. I understand what the point of it was, but it just felt... I don't know if rushed is the right word, but it felt like there wasn't really time to grow with them, which is why when they're like, why don't you trust us, Eren? And I'm just like, well, first off, I don't even know who the fuck you is.
Right. Yeah, I guess I feel like we could have had at least an episode where you could see them all kind of bond in one way or another. And you get flashes of that here and there, but it's not a lot.
Yes. That's kind of what I mean. Although, by the way, so how did you feel about the flashbacks? Because I liked them, but I felt like some of them weren't. They didn't. I'm trying to think how to word this. They didn't make it apparent that it was a flashback, sort of. Like,
Yeah.
like obviously the ones that were like duh, like Aaron's a kid now and he's not, not an adult. That he like those, or like not a teen or whatever. Like those made sense. I'm talking about like they would flash to another part. Like they would be going, like they'd have a scene that is pretty tense, yes. Then they'd flash to another part in the next episode, and I'm like, wait, where are we? And then they work their way back around to the scene from the last episode or something like that, which I like it as a narrative that they as like a tool that they used, but it also felt like it was hard for me to tell whether or not it was a flashback because they didn't actually do anything to the sides of the screen
Right.
to make you like visualize like, oh, this isn't happening in the now. So
Yeah.
yeah, so to me like it felt strange how it's like, wait, yes, you're jumping back to this. Okay, cool. This is not the present tense, like the present day.
Right.
Like in other words, I think that happened to me with when they went with the whole exercise where it's like Aaron, like he accidentally turns into like his arm turns into a titan, and everyone
Right.
freaks out. It took me a bit to be like, wait, this is happening before they're still on the horses. This is just a random
Yeah.
thought in Aaron's head.
Right.
That's the thing for me. And that, but anyway, we were talking about the characters though. You were saying how you thought the squad got a good development, which they did more than the manga, frankly. But how do you? But like with the other characters, to me, it just felt it just kind of felt like there were just in a way too many. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I don't think there's too many. I mean, I'll even admit that I've lost track of people as well.
Yes.
A little less so now, but like the first time I watched through, it was hard to keep up with sometimes. I would kind of look at people and like, I know I should know you.
Yeah, it's rough, man. I have to say though, Levi was a great addition to the show, or Levy.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, Levi. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great addition to the show. His character was needed. I mean, I know, I'm gonna make some, or I made already with you, Tristan, some tsundere jokes, and I'm sure people ship him and Eren. They have to. It's the fandom. I imagine they have, but my
I have
yeah.
no idea.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to have no idea, but my point is that
you are.
good God, don't Google that. I guess.
Not that I have, but I've known people who have. It was a mistake.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. So anyway, my good God. But my whole thing with Levy is, I think he was a great addition. I think he's a bit too OP. So like, I'm happy that we got a little bit of backstory on him about why he, like where he came from, and apparently he was dragged in kicking and screaming, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I want to know, why is he so adept with this? And I know just some people just are, I guess. But he's so adept that, frankly, it's disturbing.
Well, I mean, I feel like we get the same feel from Mikasa as well. And I was kind of happy to see that Levi really does live up to his reputation, and the fact that, there is another character that is highly adept. And it's, it wasn't just Mikasa. Even though I love the fact that she is, it's nice to see, there are other, older, squad members that are like, yeah, they're pretty damn good too.
Yeah, I have to admit, I keep on forgetting that it's not like they made this gear yesterday. The gear's been around for a bit. Just some people have been slacking off due to it being peacetime for a while. Until,
Right.
until like 4 years back, where they were like, wait, no, this is bad.
Right.
Yes. So I have a question for you, random one-off I just thought about. There were, I don't know about now, I guess, but there were people living outside the walls, right?
Yeah.
That's not a thing anymore, I guess? It's not really talked about now.
I mean, it was mentioned at the beginning of the series, but like, obviously, like, no one's really thought that, like, they couldn't get back out there and reclaim any of it until very recently, or even taking back, the outer Rose, Rose, yeah.
Well, you mean Wall Maria or Maria?
Yeah, right. Rose is the absolute center.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so strange. In the dub, they call it Maria, and I'm like, Maria? Like, what are you...
Yeah.
No, because it makes a lot of sense, because it's Wall Maria, and literally you have the cult saying that the wall is godlike.
Right.
You have that cult that's just like, oh, we praise the wall, and it's like, wait, yeah, so Maria makes sense. Rose doesn't, I guess,
Right.
but like Maria does to me.
Right.
So, how do you feel, Tristan, about
Yeah.
the Titans? Because I'm okay. So, who is the Irvin or Irwin? So, he said something that was accurate. He was like, basically,
The commander?
yes, the commander. Yeah, he said to the military man sitting across from him, "Hey, we know more now than we did when all of this first started," which obviously was kind of said as a way to wrap up the season, but was very accurate. Like in the beginning of the season, no one even thought like people could turn into Titans. That was just a crazy thought. Like, why would people think that, right?
Right.
But I have to say though, despite the fact that we do know more, I still feel like we know a lot less.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I don't remember what because we podcasted on this show in like July of last year. So, of last year. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
So I don't remember my predictions. I have this odd feeling that like either the Titans or they are from space. But I feel like that's kind of debunked now with the fact that they can turn into Titans.
Right.
At least this regularly.
Right. Oh, my God.
Well, no, because, like, I thought Eren was, like, some anomaly. And it turns out, yes, a few other people could be anomalies as well. But it's still happening at a pace that I'm not a fan of. Sure, it's only 2, but, like, we apparently have 2 other Titans roaming around that seem to be conscious enough that they could also be humans.
Right. The armored and colossal.
Yeah. So, I don't know what's up with that. But before we get to that, I just want to mention to you, before I go into my newer theories, I guess, or kind of bolstering my older ones, what do you think? Like, what do you think the Titans are? Like, what do you think their goals are? Because, like, as someone who hasn't seen either season 2 or read farther than, like, the first volume of the manga, I have no idea what's going on with them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really sure either, but because there's got to be some kind of connection with all the shady shit that we kind of see happening within the government, within the walls, which there's a lot of it we haven't seen yet, but...
Yeah, apparently they're just cool with selling off OEM gear, which is weird because, like, here's the thing. Unless it's just some rich people who want to have fun, who actually does need it, though?
Right.
Like, that's weird. Like, I gotta be honest with you. I know it's corruption and we shouldn't, we should question that it's just, oh, it's corruption, it's terrible. But, like, wait. Who actually needs it, though? Because, like, in our world, there's enough of a world. There's enough people that it makes sense why something gets sold on a black market. But who is around that is actually buying OEM gear other than, obviously, potentially, like, Titans or people who are masquerading... Titans who are... That's the funny thing, too, by the way. Are these Titans masquerading as people or people masquerading as Titans?
I mean, I want to say it's people masquerading as Titans. Well, yeah.
But, like, what's their goal?
I mean, it's definitely to tear down the wall. But I feel like that's the goal. Or it's a part of an overarching goal. But I really can't. I don't even have anything really formulated to say why they're going about doing that. I would say for equality, but I mean they eat people and they don't really have to. I mean the humans that transform into Titans don't eat people, but like normal Titans do. So I don't normal Titans is hosts. But I mean that's even what they use to distinguish them too, because then they have abnormals that don't follow regular patterns of their behavior that they observed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know. And I kind of felt like I wanted more information.
Okay.
The time around when I saw this.
Oh.
Watching it again, it feels like, yes, I still want that more information, but it doesn't, I don't know, it didn't sway me as much this time, because I guess, I don't know, I guess I could focus a little bit more on, like, what people were saying, as opposed to the first time I watched it, when I had no idea what was going on, and then the action would be like, oh, God.
Yes. Also, watching it dubbed, I think, maybe helped you a little bit as well, because you don't have to, like, read and then focus on the action and then...
Yeah, it's true, too.
Yeah. But it's just... Yeah, it's just something so strange, man, because... the reason why, by the way, it's like, well, Matt, why did you think that they're aliens? Well, here's the thing. Either the Titans felt like aliens because not only the lightning bolt stuff, but also the fact that it made me think of Evangelion a little bit. Where, like, the angels came from heaven, quote unquote, and, you know, first impact and all that stuff. So it made me think of that. So I was like, oh, perhaps they're aliens. But then when I saw how big the trees are...
Right. Well, it's funny. Like, trees in our world can get that big, too, if they're left to grow for enough years.
So you think...
Like, it's funny. At first I thought that was ridiculous, too, and then I really thought about it, and I'm like, no, wait, that would make sense. If it's been untouched for how many years, like, they might have been there for hundreds of years, so it would make sense.
Okay, because to me, it came off as, what if this is not our world, but we've been, like, not lied to necessarily, but, like, because we've gotten into such weird, like, what the fuck territory. I wouldn't be surprised with, like, humans landed here and tried to make it their own and lied about everything.
Yeah, that feels like that would be the appropriate level of twist to get from the series. But
yeah.
I don't think we're going to go with the space twist.
Alright. Well, wait.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Wait, space in which direction? Because I feel like the Titans could have came from space.
Because I feel like the Titans from space thing is totally still on the table.
Yeah, the reverse is obviously super far-fetched. But
Right.
Titans from space? Where else would they be? Like, I know evolution occurs and, you know, the entire planet is the planet, but, like, it's super strange to just be like,
really weird.
yeah, it's super strange to be like, yeah, one day there were no Titans, and then there were.
Well, because even the scientist from the Survey Corps, she even says, like, oh, the one day I kicked one of its heads out of rage and realized, wait, that is so much lighter than it should be. And
Yeah.
just the bodies seem to materialize out of nowhere. Oh, God, what if it's a space station that materializes the body onto the planet's surface, Matt?
You're trying...
Okay.
You're trying to sound like, haha, I'm being kooky here, but that's a potential legitimate plot point.
But at the same time, that's why I said I'm only half joking.
You've never read Gantz, but it reminds me of Gantz a lot.
Oh, jeez. I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, by the way, so I know we're supposed to dislike the military, and obviously it's not like everyone in the military is incompetent, but after a while, though, it kind of feels frustrating. Where it's just like, guys, look.
You mean like the military police or the scouts?
No, I mean military. Sorry. I mean the higher-ups that have to make decisions based on Eren or their future course of action.
Right. Oh, like the one judge in the tribunal?
Actually, he seemed rational.
Yeah, that was the funny part. I thought he was going to be, like, like that first general that we see that when Aaron first did it, and he's like, "Nope, fire the cannons at them, kill them immediately."
Yeah.
Basically, how everyone else has reacted.
But it's so funny how he didn't do that.
Right. Yeah, it was refreshing, actually. It's like, well, here's something, like, I'm guessing obviously he's probably made decisions that were brutally honest or, like, harsh, but had to be done. But, like, yeah, he actually seems like he's, not thinking with his head straight up his, well, yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why his outfit is so clean. It's not up his ass.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. By the way, so I was very frustrated with... I don't know if I'm going to say frustrated a lot in this podcast, but because talking about how they transition from, like, one set of characters to another. The first general, the one that he had the roses on his side, and he had a shaved head with the bushy mustache.
Oh, yeah, Pix, yeah.
Yeah.
Pixie? Pix? Not Pixie. Pitch, yeah.
I forgot his name, as did you. But what matters is that...
I'm close.
What was that?
I said I'm close.
Yes. It seemed like he really mattered, and then we never see him again.
Well, he is a busy guy. I mean, playing chess with the higher-ups and all.
I imagine...
He's a personal bodyguard at times, too, so that probably takes him away a lot as well.
No, I imagine we'll see him more in Season 2 and in later volumes of the manga, but, like...
He feels like one of those guys that's like, I'd really rather be out in the field with you guys, but because of all the bureaucratic bullshit that I'm caught up in, I am not allowed.
Yes. It's just, again, one of those frustrating situations where, it's just like... And obviously no one knew that we were going to wait 4 years to get another show, another season.
Right.
So it's not about that. It's just the idea that, like, I don't know, man. Like, I was sitting here and I'm just like, oh, so it seems like he's going to leave him in his hands for a few episodes. Never see him again.
Right. Well, that's where, like, Irving Smith comes in. I really love his character, too.
You know why I love him? Because he is, to me anyway. Well, first off, he better not be evil one day, because I'll be super sad. Because to me, he's Captain America.
Well then.
He looks very much like Chris Evans, in my opinion. And he
I see.
but he also reminds me like this straight-laced, he's gonna do it his own way, yes, but his way is not the unjust, chaotic way. Like, he's not Levi at all.
I mean, it's odd. I would say the reverse. Like,
Really?
he does what needs to get done, and it is all in the sense of, for the betterment of humanity, but for the amount of people that do get sacrificed along the way, it's like, obviously sacrifices must be made in their positions, but he's the one that's able to do it the most, like, cold and calculating way. Even Levi still has problems in that, like, he doesn't show it too much, but enough that you can tell, like, I don't think Levi would be able to hold the same position as Irving.
Well, here's the thing with Irving, though, in my opinion. I feel like obviously he can make mistakes, but, like, I don't think he expected that many casualties, obviously. Like, obviously it's sad that people will be sacrificed, but... No, but here's...
I don't know.
Dude,
I think he might have...
No. I gotta be honest, dude.
I'm not saying he's doing it out of, like, I don't give a shit about the casualties. No, definitely not. But, like, he understands that it's, look, this is what's going to happen, and you may not agree with it at the time, but it needs to get done.
Well, no, I mean, look, I'm not saying I would be able to hold his position either. I'm just saying that, like, the idea is that, hey, we might have a few casualties. We're kind of at war here.
Yeah.
But then when the casualties get that large, like when a bunch of people died via the female Titan, as well as Annie, essentially. And
trying to capture Annie the first time.
And also the second time as well. He did not expect that much to go wrong, because who the fuck expected her to have a ring? Really?
Yeah, that's true too, I guess.
I'm not saying that he doesn't sit there going, everyone's gonna live, but again, neither can Captain America. He's a captain of a platoon for a reason.
Right. Okay. True.
I know, like, the idea is because we've seen Marvel movies, or like you've seen more Marvel movies than comics. It's like, yeah, no, Captain America hates when people dies. It's like, well, he does, but he's also running a, like, someone dies unless he worked with them very, very, very closely. He's not like, no. I mean, granted, he'll visit graves and stuff like that, but again, that's more comics than in the movies.
Right.
Because in the movies, you mostly see him working with the Avengers, not like being a captain of a platoon where people could actually die.
Right.
Attack on Titan, they're just like, Jim? I kind of liked Jim. Yo, Jim's gonna die. Oh,
Right.
thanks.
Because I kind of feel, I mean, Levi doesn't act like how like Captain America would, but I only say Irvin seems different because he'll go rogue when he needs to.
Yes.
If he needs to.
Yes, but go rogue in... It's funny, though, because, again, if you're thinking of the same case that I'm thinking of, going rogue because there's a spy,
Right.
a bit different. I mean, I feel like Levi would just cut her up. If she transforms, then we know that she's... I feel like he would go with the not a witch scenario.
Right.
He literally killed people. I mean, not that he did, but it sounded like he was someone who used to kill people for sport or not care about. Like, he sounded like from their backstory that was never actually factually, like, it was never confirmed. But he wasn't giving people high fives as a criminal.
Right. That's fair.
But again, it was never confirmed, so we don't know if it was his actual backstory or not.
Right.
It was just rumor. They were just talking, and then he came in, and it was kind of funny. Because he was like, what was that? And they were like, nothing.
Right.
But yeah, how did you feel about the court scene, by the way? Because, like, I felt upset about it, but again, of course, we felt refreshed by having a nice person judging Aaron. But...
Or at least a guy with, his head not up his ass out of fear.
Exactly. But my question to you is, like, I don't know, I still felt so... frustrated with everyone. I feel frustrated with a lot of them because I know the idea is, oh, are they scared? Oh, can we trust him? And look, I'm not saying if I was in this situation, I would trust Aaron 100%. But I would sit there and I'd be like, well, we've built great walls and those walls have come down. I guess we have to look to other options because they break. And I'm not even referring to, obviously the cult leader is going to be a cult leader. He's going to cult all day long. So that's whatever.
Yeah.
It's other people that are just like, oh, my taxes? And it's just like, I'm so sorry that we will either have to tax you more or we're taxing you the same amount that we are, shop owner. But how about we realize that the wall isn't working? Like, I know some of them weren't there, but like, just take some other people's word for it. One freaking Titan just slammed through a wall.
Right.
Why, though?
Well, it seems that empathy and sympathy, or even just sympathy, and even logic at this point are in very, very short supply. Even shorter supply than food.
Yeah.
It's probably a 1-to-1 correlation.
Yeah. Oh, so I have a weird theory, I guess, or a small, like a strange theory. Do you think, I don't know, do you think there's someone in there just trying to drum up fear to, like, cause dissent and have people, I don't know why they would want to do that, because it would create, someone would probably, whoever this is trying to do it would probably get caught in the crossfire, I guess, but do you think that there's someone there trying to just create dissent for whatever X reason it is? Because when you have a Titan that can literally be a football player through a wall, it's now that they're human, it actually makes more sense because it's kind of like, wait, why would you just disappear? What was your goal? Because even though the idea at first was, oh, they're smarter Titans, but if they wanted to destroy them, they literally could have right there.
Right.
So there has to be some greater, stranger goal in mind for some of the, like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to look to just, I don't know. It's so strange because you would think that maybe they want to kill some people to try to thin the herd because, again, they're just terrible people and they want more food for
Right.
themselves. But then you're killing off some of your providers of food and you don't have
Right.
more space to have cows.
Yeah.
So I don't know where, like, unless they're just unless there's just some people that are like, no, we just want anarchy and we can turn into titans. Haha. I don't know what the point of it is.
Yeah, I don't think that's it either. Because it really feels like there's something, because there are even people, I guess it was the one kid in the military police that Annie was talking to, the one guy who's like, oh, I want to change it from the inside. Like, he was realizing, like, well, why are we protecting, or why are we on this detail when, like, why is there so much talk of, like, people revolting? And at first I thought, it was probably just paranoia of the higher-ups, but it's like, no, they're really throwing a lot at this. Like, it doesn't seem like just simple paranoia, but we haven't seen anyone seemingly uprising. Like, the only real thought you get of it is when they say, oh, if, Aaron's from the outer wall, what if they rise up and try to take the resources of the inner walls because they have a Titan on their side? And it really makes me think there's really something weird going on the most inner walls that we have not heard about or seen anything about yet.
So like a small rebellion led by someone who they don't know is a titan or something?
I mean, maybe. And, like, that's why it seemed like they're, like, the Titans' goals, or the people who can transform into Titans, it feels like their goal has something to do with the inequality between the walls to me, because that seems like the only reason to want to shatter the walls. I mean, because otherwise, the walls are keeping you all safe from Titans, so why would you break them?
Yeah, but that inequality is so strange because, like, obviously it's like you would probably materialize where the fat cats are and just kill them and
Right.
redistribute the wealth. Like,
Yeah. Like, this is the thing, I don't really have all the pieces to come up with an actual theory for it because we really haven't gotten enough information.
yeah, no, it's so strange. One thing I want to say though, just getting off this topic for a second, I think this actually might cause divisiveness in those guys, actually, depending on how we answer this.
I don't know.
OP1 or OP2?
Wait, what?
Which one was better? The first opening or the second opening?
Oh, right.
I will bite my hand.
I mean, I'm already ready. You want to go? No.
Well,
Wait. We gotta decide the fighting stage first. You want me to come out there to Queens, or you want to come here to the island, and we can have the setting.
once we transform, we'll see each other.
Actually, fair enough.
In the distance. We're not that far away from each other when we're that tall.
That's fair. I mean, it depends on what meter class we are, but yeah, no, that's a fair assessment.
No,
Anyway,
wait, random aside. I feel like when you're a human titan hybrid, you just get that tall.
True, it does seem like most of them are 14 meter or, well, I mean, the Colossal is obviously different, but...
Yeah. But anyway, which opening?
Yeah. It's funny. Both of them are good, but I think the first opening is still my favorite.
Yeah, so...
Out of the opening.
Yeah, so obviously to me, first opening is my favorite. But I told you this through text, and I truly believe it. Opening 2 is super patriotic and funny in a way, but in a good way. Like the show needed a change in opening. I just hate that it got one, but it needed one.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's no OP1, right? It's not the first opening in any way, but it's still good enough in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love the 3D in the opening. I think that was very different and very new, and something that I didn't really expect to come from the show. Although I should have expected it because, again, there was a lot of fights during the first, during the show itself. So a lot of CG going on there. So honestly, I should have expected it, but I didn't for some reason. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys heard some noise in the background, family running around. But basically, what I wanted to say was I'm happy that OP1 wins in our minds and hearts because we definitely have a fight over it. One thing I want to say though is, I don't know if you felt this, maybe it's just me. I felt like when this anime was made, and especially the opening as well, and I think maybe this is the case of every opening, maybe it's just me, I don't feel like they thought both the opening and the anime were going to get as big as it did.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I really didn't think of it that way because of all the hype that was around it for the longest time, until you mentioned it, and then I realized, yeah, having, they did the first 25 for the first season, and then now season 2 is only 13, I believe. So, like, you saying, like, they didn't seem prepared for, like, the overall hype, because it seems like if they were, they would have had, like, season 2 ready to go.
Yeah, no, not that it's 13 less, that it's more so that it's 4 years later. That's what you're referring to.
Right.
Yeah. But,
although I think it primarily had to do with the manga, although, like, it's leaps and bounds ahead of where the anime is now. So maybe it was the companies working with the anime had to work some stuff out.
Well, I mean, yes, the author has gone on hiatus a few times, so that would probably make more sense. But the thing is, though, is there's no reason why, other than what I'm going to propose, there's no other reason why in 4 years you wouldn't have had one 13-episode anime. Now, the reason why I think that they did it, though, potentially because they were worried about catching up too fast.
Yeah.
But I also think that it might have, and this is just my opinion, a lot of animation studios are booked for years, right? Because there aren't that many studios versus how much anime is coming out. So what happens is they get so booked that, like, if you and I, started our own company, and it was actually started it very with a lot of capital and just to contract animators, right? If we were somehow respected, right? Like, it wasn't like, we were just looked at as some random people, with money. But if we were respected, depending on what company we go to, they could be like, thank you for the interview. We would love to work on your idea. See us in 3 years.
Right.
Because they're that booked, right?
Sure.
So in my opinion, that might have also been it. They might have been booked. I don't know if it's production IG for season 2. It would be nice if it is, but I have no idea. But also, by the way, production IG, good company.
Yeah.
Because I've seen some of their earlier works, and a lot of so I actually like their older works, but no, it's just funny because seeing them do this in 2013, it was like, right, animation's changed, like as if that's new, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, because it's just like seeing how beautiful the animation looks. It's just kind of funny. Because again, like, I think of them as like early 2000s.
Right.
Like when I think back to their old stuff that I used to watch. So it's like, right, yes, they're animating today, and this is how it would look in 2013.
Yep.
Nothing crazy, right? But yeah, so I'm just thinking of like some little things here and there. So yeah, so I have, God, no idea what the Titans are here for, or what anyone's trying to do. How did you feel about the twist with Annie? Did you think it came out of nowhere? Did you think it was silly? Like, obviously, in my opinion, it makes sense that there's more people that can turn into Titans. Or, I mean, how do you feel about the idea overall, honestly? Because, like, I personally felt weird when we first heard that, Eren could be... I'm pretty sure I said it on the show. I was like, I feel weird about this plot development. So, like, have you just gotten used to it? You're like, yeah, they can become Titans, so what? Or is it still, like, a shock to you?
I mean, it's a little both. Like, I'm used to it, but it's also still shocking. And I think it was kind of the only way, after the large amount of episodes that they had for the Battle of Trost, that they could make more attention out of it and make things more threatening.
Yeah.
Because they had their first major victory against the Titans. They took back, a sector. So the only way to really, because that's the thing, this series always keeps you in that sense of, foreboding and just kind of general hopelessness. They give you just enough that it's not like, oh, I can't watch this, it's too, it's too fucking much. But they also don't give you enough to be like, yeah, everything's going to work out. They're really going to do it this time. It's like, no.
Oh God, yeah. Of course. Well, yes. That's the one thing that I can say is that there's generally like it's not a sense of hopelessness, but they kill people left and right, which I don't think is the worst thing. Because again, like I understand it. It's just that I did feel for a show that kills people left and right. I do have to admit though, as much as I love Armin and I want him to survive, the fact that he survived though, I mean,
it's funny. The fact that Eren came back, granted, he came back because he realized, he figured out that, well, he had the Titan powers, so he was able to come back. That's the only reason he came back from the brink of death.
Yeah.
I think we talked about this in the first one. It's like, it would have been interesting for them to actually leave him dead, which I'm glad they didn't because he's still one of my favorites. Well, I don't know. I kind of have.
I'm happy he's not dead because of how what the fuck we've gone with the show in a good way.
Right. Yeah.
But I will.
And in that regard, I think the only way, like I said before, to up the game to make it more tense, because they've basically proven that they can deal with just the quote-unquote normal Titans. It's still not easy. It's not an easy fight, but they can do it. So I feel like they would gain, like if they kept it just fighting regular Titans, they'd gain too much ground and too much. I feel like they'd get a little cocky, and maybe that would make the fall later on even worse. But in here, it's like you kind of have to keep that tension high all the time in this series.
Yeah, which is why.
And the only way to do that was to bring like a more human element. It's like, yeah, now you have Titans with actual, like, human intelligence.
Yeah, because...
Or, a similar level to human intelligence.
Because they're people.
Yeah. Because Annie, like, when they tried to take her on, just the amount of stuff that she could pull off that they didn't even think about in Titan form was insane. Because left and right, they're like, we should, we gotta do this or try this. And then one after the other, they're just killed immediately. It's like, it didn't work. Nothing we're doing is working.
I gotta say though, despite the fact that, I did immediately say, oh yeah, well of course I knew that Annie was a Titan. Their reasoning for it was very smart, and I loved how they gave Armin that chance to shine by basically saying, so she knows how OEM gear works.
Right, yeah.
She's, I forgot, there was a few other things. Oh yeah, she didn't kill Armin, like she gave him a look.
Right.
And when he called, he called Eren a suicidal bastard, which apparently is something they've called him before, and she reacted to it, and he was like, wait a minute.
He was able to pick up on it, yeah.
Yeah, because I even picked up on, it's funny, when I also noticed that she picked up on it, I thought it was more so like, I know Eren, like, I want to take him back to our lair or whatever.
Right.
You know what I wonder? This would make sense. Talking about the idea of a rebellion and stuff like that, I wonder if she wanted to take him to be like, let me show you our base, you should become one of us. See how we're so different?
Right.
Maybe it's not even a rebellion of like a bunch of people who aren't half Titan. Maybe it's just a few half Titan people that are just like, hey, we totally think you should join our super secret group because we hate the government and people. We feel ostracized, so should you. And Eren's going to be like, no, you shouldn't. And they're going to be like, dude, they've tried to kill you twice.
Multiple times, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, yeah.
But again, I don't know how that fucking ties into how they can do it.
Right.
you know, maybe we just have to accept, which I would hate if this happened. Maybe we just have to accept, hey, if you inject someone, it can work. It just doesn't happen often.
Right. Oh God.
Anyone can become a Titan if they put their on it.
Speaking of Captain America.
Yeah, right, super soldier serum. Super Titan serum.
Oh God.
But yeah, oh, by the way, something very interesting. It's also funny to see how, which we noticed this in the first parts, it's funny to see how the Titans themselves, the everyday Titans, are like, you're not normal.
Right.
And they literally consume these Titans. Like, it seems like Colossal is the only one that's like, yo, are you really gonna fuck with me?
Well, I think it was more of she was actually commanding them, like how Armin was saying, and that was like, I mean, I guess we really don't know if it was a code or not because all she did was scream.
No,
Like,
but didn't the other Titans try to eat or beat up Eren? When he first?
Yeah, earlier on, yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like they know you're not one of us.
Right, yeah, that's true.
But it's so strange because, again, it's like, you're not one of us, but I don't know, like, it's so interesting. Also, the fact that they don't actually consume people, and they consume them, but they can't digest, so they cough them up like hairballs, fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah, that was, the first time I saw that, I actually felt a little bit sick.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Obviously better, I mean, it's,
Oh.
no, but it's just so funny, like, not that cats are necessarily scary, but, like, giving them that cat-like function makes them so much scarier than, like, Titan
It's
poop.
funny. Yeah, you know what it actually made me think of more? I mean, granted, owls actually digest it, but, like, stuff that can't be digested, like fur or feathers or even sometimes bone, too. Like owl pellets. Like, they'll expel stuff from their stomach that they can't digest, but it's just, you know, a ball of feathers and fur and bones.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah. That's what it made me think of.
Oh, so do you remember that one guy that was part of the, you know, the elite squadron, and he constantly bit his tongue while on the horse?
Oh my god, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know why I didn't find that as funny. Like,
I mean,
the first, well, because you know what it is? It's not that it's not, like, it's not like that it's stupid, because again, it's kind of, it makes me chuckle a little bit, but after the
Yeah,
first time, I'm just
exactly.
like, okay, like, dude, like, are you really going to constantly bite your tongue? I don't know, for some odd reason, it wasn't as funny to me.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it was supposed to be, like, laugh out loud hilarious. It was just enough to kind of lighten the mood for a few seconds before the death resumed.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny. You say that as because obviously I watched, if you guys don't know, longtime listeners would know, but if some of you guys are newer to the podcast, I watch the episodes again as we're talking about them, or movie or whatever. So literally you say that as Annie is about to literally step on someone. You're like, just something to lighten the mood.
Oh, gee, yeah.
Can you, by the way, can you tell the audience what happened when I told you, hey, I just woke up, and when you were watching Attack on Titan before the podcast?
Oh my god, yeah. So I was just finishing up episode 25. You know, the credits had just rolled, and then you see the, you know, after credits scene where you see where Annie was trying to climb up the wall in her last fight with Eren before she crystallized herself, where she was climbing the wall and a piece of stone falls off and there's a Titan face in the wall. And then I go to check on the message to see, you know, when Matt wants to start the cast, and I just see, I'm awake now, and I'm like, oh dear God, he's one of them.
That was, I wish I could have planned that. I really wish I could have.
Maybe I'm dead.
Maybe I did, yeah. My God. So, by the way, something that I did not expect to love so much is seeing, because I never would have thought it would have been a thing starting off the show, Titan fights.
So Matt, I wanted to ask you before, which kill that Annie had was like the most brutal, in your opinion?
Okay, so first off, I was working a debate tournament the same day that this is being recorded, and that's when I marathoned all of this. So I think it's horrifying to know that people are probably behind me, looking over my shoulder, as Annie is spinning a dude on a fucking on the gear, like on the wire,
Yeah.
just spinning him. And it's so strange because, like, it's just so strange. Like, okay, I understand why she didn't want to kill Eren, but, like, why kill any of them if they can't actually hurt, like, incapacitate them, break the gear? But it's just so interesting, like, I know that she's a teenager herself, but she left herself very open by just not killing, I mean, I said Eren, not killing Armin.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe she had a thing for him or something.
Also,
Probably
it's
not,
well,
but-
no, I think it was more so. I thought so too, that they were alluding to it, but I think it was also like they were in the same division squad, because it seemed like
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say that too, but I was trying to think, did she kill anyone else in her squad? It's like, well, no, I guess not.
no, because and also everyone there had to attack her first, because she actually wasn't attacked by Armin, technically.
True. Yeah.
But it was so strange because, like, again, I don't know how she seemed like she can control it well enough that she wasn't like a beast, like the way Eren was.
Right. Yeah.
But it was just so, I don't know, like I think when you, even though I saw the twist coming and it made sense that she's human, I feel like when you make them human, then you start questioning things a bit too much, like the logic wise, where it's just kind of like, not that she should have killed Armin, but more so like, why did she kill any of them? Oh, well, they're attacking her. Yeah, but then just break the gear.
Well, I mean, at that point, with so many of them attacking her, I think it was just, it's honestly, in her position, it's just easier to kill them.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Like, hold back enough to be able to not kill anyone, but disarm them. And that, I think, would have raised a lot more suspicion in a way, too.
I guess. Arguably. But yeah, it seems like her mission was just, because again, it seemed like she had a mission. She was also crying when she couldn't get Eren.
Yeah. So I think that might have also, like, why she crystallized herself in the end. I don't know if it was really to, like, withhold the secret. I mean, I guess that would be part of it, obviously, but I think it felt more of a, like, well, I can't go back to where I came from because I failed my mission, but I also can't stay here, and I don't want to die, so...
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like, because I don't really see what else it could have been. Like, again, we don't know much about this situation. Now, about their situation, their, potential plans. Again, if there even is a there. Although there has to be, because there's... Again, I don't know if they're working together. That's the funny thing, too. Like, what if they're just independent titans that are just like, hey, I think we should do things this way. Well, I think we should do things this way.
Right.
But anyway.
I mean, I feel like the first attack with, the Armored and Colossal was too coordinated for them to not be working together. But I don't know, like you said before, Annie might have been a rogue?
Yeah.
Or wet rogue? I don't know.
Well, no, the first two were coordinated. I mean, working with Annie. That might not be...
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So we're going to get a little controversial here on the internet. That's what we do here. We start that controversy, Tristan. So I feel like this show was too hyped. Was a little overhyped. There, I said it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not taking away from it. Like, it was still a good show. And it still is.
I think we can say great show.
Yeah.
But the reason why everyone's like, there's people on the internet right now that are just like having heart attacks, texting and typing like, "How dare you?" The thing is, it's just because when it first came out, not in 2013, more so in 2014, I think, when like there was, people were starting to really watch it and, not just find it online, find it through like Crunchyroll, and then Funimation was talking about picking it up and all this stuff. I feel like there was this hype train that it just felt like I didn't actually get to watch it, not because of the hype train. I just didn't really get to see it. But I was like, I was going to cons a little bit, I think, or like I saw some people on the train, you know, like dressing up as not Titans, dressing up as scouts. So from that, it made me feel like, wow, like everyone's loving the show. The show's amazing and everything like that. And then after watching it, it's a great show. But I don't know, it feels like it got too overhyped. And sadly, I feel like not everything that I've ever seen that's been hyped didn't live up to it. But I don't feel like this lived up to the hype that everyone was giving it.
Yeah.
But, and again, yeah. How do you feel, Tristan? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, no, because it was funny. Like, I was watching it as it was coming out on Crunchyroll. And I was, like, keeping up with it. Like, I mean, I had I didn't have a subscription, so it was every Sunday, I think it was coming out. And then some weeks, like, I think I waited a few weeks for, like, the last 4, and then I watched it all at once, or something to that effect. But yeah, it felt like after I had seen it, the hype got even bigger. And I was like, okay, it was great, guys, but, like, can you tone it down a little bit?
I mean, again,
it was that summer's like biggest one to come out. Like, obviously there are other shows. Like, every year, every summer, there are a few anime that come out together. But usually, there's 1 or 2 that like really stand out and catch people's attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a bunch. Yeah, there's a bunch of shows that come out every summer. I mean, a lot of shows. I mean, maybe Crunchyroll doesn't pick them all up, but a lot of shows come out every. Not every summer, but every core, right? Every 12 episode. Although this was 25, but every like 12 to 25 episode, you know, season. But no, you're right. Like, there's a few that become the big hit. And obviously this was the big hit. And it's funny. I'm not saying it doesn't, and I think we should be very clear. We're not saying it doesn't deserve to be the big hit.
Oh yeah, it definitely did.
It's just that with the way everyone described it, you thought it was the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Of Anime Jesus.
Of Anime Jesus, yeah. Which, by the way, that's an anime. Do you remember the Jesus and Buddha? Do you remember that OVA? I forgot what it was called.
I remember it.
Yeah. But still, so again, you think it sounds like the second coming. And I'm not going to try to compare it to other shows, because if I try to compare it to any show, it was in a different era. So if I try to be like, it sounds like the next DBZ, it's like, well, remember, DBZ was how long, episode-wise? And also, it took so long to get here that I don't think calling it the second DBZ actually is worth it. Right. Maybe you could call it the second Naruto, because of how... Even then, Naruto had a few-year gap before it came here. But once it did, it definitely picked up amongst the youth.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, especially, you know, thinking of shows from our childhood, to think of, like, what was the next. Because even if someone says Pokemon, I mean, perhaps Pokemon might be a good one. Because I don't think it took that long to show up in the U.S. from Japan.
Right.
So maybe that's a good one, but it's hard to compare to many shows in our youth, because when we were young, it took years. Back in our day, it took years. So like this one taking, I think, only like a year-ish to be brought, and obviously being aired on Crunchyroll, it aired weekly when it was airing in Japan. So in that regard, you were getting it freaking, you know, weekly. So of course, it was able to, you know, get all that hype while it was airing in Japan. You know, so quick to, you know, when it was airing. So, you know, I guess maybe comparing it to Naruto, perhaps? I don't know. It's really hard to make that comparison. But it was such a big hit. And you were saying earlier, not like every single person who was saying how much they loved it was this. But I do think that there was a good chance that, and again, so I'm agreeing with you, that a lot of or a fair amount of the people who were on the hype train, it was one of their first anime. Now, that's not a bad thing. That's not us saying, oh, how dare you, you newbies. But... Right.
And I would definitely say, like, if it was your first one coming into anime, then good on you. Like, it was a good one to start with.
Exactly. Especially because of how weird it was, so that it's kind of a great way to kind of ease you into how sometimes anime can be a little bit, you know, different than Western media. I think this is really what shows you not like every, again, there's Western media that's very different and very strange in a good way. Like a lot of David Lynch's work, like Twin Peaks, or when you look at some shows like Gravity Falls and Steven Universe, they are different than, a lot of what's on television nowadays. But when you look at something like Attack on Titan, it's just so different that I think that also might be why it drew people in.
Yeah.
Especially newer fans who are just like, oh, I want to see what this anime is, and then they just see Attack on Titan. And also, I think something too, I mentioned earlier, that opening, I do not think they expected the opening to be that much of a hit. Not that they didn't want it to sell, because of course they want their openings and endings to sell and for people to buy them on iTunes or on, discs and stuff like that. But it was such a big opening, very much like the opening to JoJo, the first part.
Right, yeah.
It was just so huge and monumental, and the fans really jumped on it so much that I would argue the hate for the second opening is very similar to the hate for the second JoJo opening.
Right.
Maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's just such this hype, not just surrounded by the show, but also the opening that, gets you so pumped, where, there's certain other shows, as much as I love them, their openings don't really get me that pumped. Like, they're skippable.
Right.
After a while. Even though I love them, they're just skippable after a while. So I feel like this was just a very interesting culmination of, a big show, a good show, mixed in with a lot of newer fans jumping on. I mean, thinking of some of my former students who were, fans who talked to me about like, oh, I loved Attack on Titan, or I love Attack on Titan, and that was my first, and whatever. You sit there and you're like, wait, so they're teenagers. So if they're 15, Attack on Titan came out when they were 11. Maybe it took them 2 years to really start to discover anime, because Attack on Titan is also on Netflix as well, subbed. So it took them like 2 years. They were 13, which is a prime time age to just, go on their parents' Netflix accounts by themselves to just find, anime.
Right.
And really, get invested in anime. So it's kind of funny how, and again, I'm not putting them down. It's just when I saw so many people dressed up as scouts. Also, I do think maybe the outfits helped as well. Very, not easy to cosplay, but very cosplayable.
Yeah.
Where, like, obviously every anime, has different outfits and whatnot. But I feel like just giving people, like, the sense of, like, yes, we're becoming part of the army, and, and we're dressing up, and we're going to fight these titans and stuff like that. And, and the gear looks really cool. Very hard to cosplay the gear, but, the OEM gear. But still, like,
Right, yeah.
like, I think it just gave people something to really, like, work on, like, with their sewing, or just, trying to buy them online, to be able to get the Titan costumes and the Scout costumes, stuff like that. So I think that might have helped as well. Where, like, something like Dragon Ball Z, for instance, it's a bit harder to be like, I want, Vegeta's gear. I want the Saiyan armor. That's rough. Also, a bunch of people are arguably dressed the same, quote unquote. Different patches, but you have Goku, you have Krillin, you have Yamcha. But I feel like here, even though it's like, but Matt, everyone's dressed the same here, quote unquote. Yes, but it gives that sense of like, I don't know, like it's a bit easier to cosplay, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Versus me being like, let me go off and be Frieza.
Yeah.
And then
Your
for
hair
people,
doesn't have to be freaking weird either.
yeah, exactly. Your hair can
The
be
hairstyles are pretty tame.
exactly, and it got people's wig game on, right? Where
Right.
they were able to like work with different wigs. Like I know a bunch of people who were definitely into the Attack on Titan cosplay scene when it came out, which I think that again also helped. Definitely, I would say sparked people's first fan fictions.
Oh, jeez.
I don't mean it in a weird way. Could just been normal, fan fiction. But
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, true.
yeah. But still, though, it definitely, because it's just such an intriguing series that I'm happy that it's people's first. But it, again, it's sad to say it didn't live up to the hype for me, right?
No.
And it's funny too, because I waited years to see it. I didn't see it when it first came out. But I've just heard so much, like it blew up so large that even though it was only, now it's funny. I say 4 years in comparison to when the second season came out, but obviously to this date it has been 5 years. So I think to where I was 5 years ago, which, oh God, like, I can't believe it was that long ago. But I think to where I was 5 years ago, and I think, yeah, like, a bunch of people were like, it felt like they were the cult of Attack on Titan. Like, where you have the cult talking about the wall, and how it's like, we need the wall. Like, you have them talking about Attack on Titan.
Right.
Just about, we need season 2. But yeah, so as we're wrapping things up, the show definitely was a lot of fun. Funnily enough, though, we were talking about this off camera, the whole idea of like, oh, newer people to the fandom, and literally the guy that bites his tongue a lot.
Yeah.
He literally said on screen, I shit you not, everybody listening at home, I really do feel like we're in the Matrix based on this improbability. I don't know what the stats are for this to happen out of 25 episodes. I have episode 19 on. And literally, as Tristan saying, yeah, it does feel like it was a lot of newer people in the fandom. Out of nowhere, he's talking to Eren and says, you just don't understand because you're still a newbie.
Oh my God.
And then he said next, if you do, then shut up and obey. And I was like, alright, we're in the Matrix, guys. Statistically, this is not possible. Just as not possible as it was earlier when you mentioned that I texted you. I just woke up the second you see an eye. Which, by the way, I assume the eye was just meant to like foreshadow a season 2. But that's just me. So do you feel the same way, Tristan? Like, I don't think that the Titan looking in was an actual... Like, I think it was just like, hey, we have more Titan stuff. Like a way to tease us. Not that it's an actual plot point. Or do you think that they're going to bust through that wall?
I mean, it was definitely a tease, but I feel like it's going to be something big.
Okay, so you think it's going to tease right into, and now we break down this wall because she did her job, or she caused the distraction, or whatever. Because, something Armin said, which I thought was really dumb, but it might actually be part of it might be true. Armin was like, she expected us to catch her, which I was like, guys, can we not do this part of the plot? Like, the very anime-esque, oh my goodness, we thought we were tricking the bad guy, but the bad guy knew that we were going to trick them, so he tricked us. Because Armin said legit, why did she have the ring? She knew that we were trying to trap her. And I was like, oh no. Because when she said...
I mean, I feel like that's kind of more of a fail-safe of if you can't, like if you don't have another way of injuring yourself.
No, yes. But the way Armin made it sound, he made it sound like she knew that we were going to try to trick her. And then that's why she said the phrase, oh, do you like that I'm being good for you? Which, by the way, was such a fun thing, I think, for the voice actress. Because at first I was like, why is she being so cold? Like, she sounded even more cold than she did originally. Like, unnaturally so. Like, she was trying. And then it's so funny when she starts being maniacal. And I was like, oh, she was trying, actually. That's funny. Although, I have to admit, though, Eren was a little weird later. Where, like... I don't know, like, I wasn't a big fan of... Because then all of a sudden now we have Eren going, it does make sense. Heck, I've known it all along. And I'm like, what? You didn't even know you could transform into a Titan until, like, episode 12. Like, shush, boy.
Well, I mean, he knew all along after he fought her in the forest.
Yes. Okay. No, because he made it seem like it's just like, of course, it was so easy to tell. I mean, when we were training... What were you really fighting for? And I'm like, what? Like when he said it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the idea, like, why were you focusing so much on hand-to-hand when you knew it wasn't going to make any difference against the Titan? Unless you thought you'd be fighting Titans.
Or,
as a Titan.
Yes, that's a great point, actually, funnily enough. Because, yeah, like, you don't need... It's kind of funny, actually, when you think about it that way. Like, literally, it's kind of like they only need their hands to work OEM gear.
Yeah.
They're not actually fighting anyone hand-to-hand because it's not even, like, as far as we know, there are any rebellions. Like, so basically, it's kind of like, yeah, I need to know how to deal with you personally in the off chance, But when it comes to fighting Titans, like, yeah, you're right. That's a great point. Thank you, Tristan. She doesn't need to know how to fight hand-to-hand to fight Titans. That's silly. Unless you can become a Titan.
Right.
But I love it, though, because we're sitting here talking about, like, not all the pieces are together, right? Like, for us to, like, make a coherent kind of, like, prediction on what's going to happen in the future with these Titans and stuff. But how funny is it for, like, Eren to just be like, that was the one piece that I was missing. Pretty large piece, dude.
Right.
Like, that is a pretty large piece to just be like, right, you can transform into these things. That's what I was missing. It's like, yeah, that was a lot for you to be missing, man. So is there anything else you want to say before we officially wrap this thing up, Tristan?
No, I guess, what did you think of the last, like, after credit scene?
I felt the same way. Like, well, actually, I told you how I felt. I kind of felt like it. Now I think you're right. Like, it might become a big thing. But at first, I just thought they were maybe just teasing us to, like, have fun. Like, yeah, there's more on the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So thank you all so much for listening in. Please remember to like and subscribe if you're watching this through our YouTube channel, Those Guys on the Radio, or follow us if you're watching this or listening to this rather through Those Guys on the Radio's Blog Talk Radio account, which is blogtalkradio.com/ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. You can also watch our Let's Plays where Tristan and I play a lot of different games along with a bunch of other hosts that some have appeared on the podcast and some have not. You can actually check that out over at our YouTube channel, Those Guys Play. Also, we have very fun and interesting video reviews and other kinds of skits over at our TG Productions YouTube channel, which you can search up TG Productions to find. Also, if you want to be on the up and up with anything that comes out on any of our YouTube channels, you can go check out our Facebook, which is facebook.com/ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, or our Twitter, which is @ThoseGuysRadio, or even our website, which is tgproduction.net. And you could even get merchandise like t-shirts or more from our main website, which is tgproduction.net/merchandise, or over at our eBay, which is ebay.com/USR/ThoseGuysRadio. Also, consider going to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/tgproductions. Depending on what tier you give money to, you can actually become a part of the show yourself. You can actually become a sponsor for the show, where we end up giving you shout-outs depending on what podcast we're doing or Let's Play we're doing. And you can help us decide what topics we talk about for different episodes of Keikaku Corner, or different shows or movies or even anime and manga that we could be reviewing on Those Guys on the Radio. And they don't even have to be reviews. It could also be things like top 5 lists and other stuff like that as well. Alright, everybody, so say goodbye, Tristan.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.